Hi, my name is Tara Stevens and I'm a counselor with BHR Behavioral Health Response. Today I want to talk a little bit about stress and what happens in our body when we experience a stressor. If we experience a stressful event or we're living in a stressful environment, our brain sends a signal to our adrenal gland and pituitary gland to release stress hormones throughout our body. This is a normal, predictable response. This is how our body is wired to respond to stress. These stress hormones pump through our body. They can make our heart feel like it's beating really fast. They can make us really hot, feel sweaty. They can make our bellies hurt. Maybe we get headaches when we're stressed. This is normal. This is our body preparing itself to survive that stressor. But what also happens is when our body releases those stress hormones, it also releases inflammation throughout our body. Now, what we know about inflammation is a little bit of inflammation is good. That's how our body is supposed to design to heal itself, right? If I was to get a cut on my hand, my body would release those stress hormones and inflammation to go to that cut to heal that cut. We could see that inflammation. It will get red, it will get inflamed, it will bump up, right? It's trying to heal that wound. The problem is when we experience a lot of stress in our body and we have that inflammation pumping through, it doesn't have a physical wound to go to. So it just hangs out on our tissue. And we know that one dose of this cocktail lasts in an adult about 30 hours. So if we're experiencing stressful event after stressful event, we are getting dose after dose of this cocktail, these stress hormones and inflammation in our body. And what we know about inflammation, a little bit it's good, that's how our body heals itself, but a lot of it, chronic inflammation, is not good. It's linked to a whole host of negative mental and physical health outcomes. So the goal is to decrease that stress in our body, decrease those stress hormones and decrease that inflammation. And we can do that by mindfulness techniques. That is the best way to decrease the inflammation in our body and release that stress. And practicing mindfulness is all about being in the present moment, right? It's about using our five senses to ground us, to make us engage with what's happening around us. We can do this anywhere, at any time. We can do this when we wash dishes, when we go for a walk, when we're helping our kids with homework. We can do this when we eat a meal. Now, the goal is really to eat meals with other people, because what we know is when we eat with other people, we slow down and we're more mindful of what we're eating. We're tasting the food, right? We're smelling it. We're feeling the textures in our mouth instead of just sitting in front of the TV and shoveling food in our mouth. We're being more mindful of what we are intaking into our bodies, right? It slows us down. So mindfulness is a wonderful technique to decrease that stress and inflammation in our body. But what if we can actually eat healthy foods and anti-inflammatory foods to also decrease that inflammation in our body? Some of the best foods that we can eat as anti-inflammatory are plant-based. So we're talking about blueberries and leafy greens. Those are wonderful to decrease that inflammation in our body. Other really healthy foods are almonds and walnuts, which is an easy snack, right? You can just grab a handful of those. Those are great anti-inflammatory foods. Wild Alaskan salmon is also great. Any type of herbs that you add to food and spices can also help with decreasing inflammation in our body. So not only can we practice mindfulness as eating together and being aware of what we're eating, but we can also be aware and more mindful of the food we're putting in our mouth. We can eat those anti-inflammatory foods, those plant-based foods that we know decrease the inflammation in our body.